Hi, family, and welcome back to another episode of Jordan's Journey podcast. This is real people with real lives, real stories. So, we have another special guest with us today. Her name is Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I am gonna yourself.
I'm doing really well. I'm so glad you can join us. Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are joining us from.
Well, I live in Long Island. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a mom of three little boys, 12, 7, and 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And married to my husband for 12 years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
wonderful. So you have a beautiful family. And so let's get right into the question. When did you come into the realization that there was a God? What happened? Take us back to that day.
I came into the realization that there was a God when I had to become an advocate and a caretaker for my brother Abby. Growing
Mm,
up, my mom and my dad and my two brothers and my brother Abby, he had cerebral palsy,
mm.
and I didn't look at him as any different, just normal, just like me and you.
Yeah.
And I always, as a young girl, always was like very protective over him, very protective. Like people would stare, kids would laugh, because he
Yeah.
wasn't able to walk or talk.
Mm,
So, stare, laugh, even grown ups at the time. And I
mm.
was always asking my mom, like, why do you treat him like that?
Right.
He's just like us. And she's like, they don't know no better. They don't understand.
Yeah.
So we always grew up to learn how to love each other and, just be a close knit family. But unfortunately, my mom got sick back in 2006, and we had to take the role, my brother Karim and I had to take the role of, taking care of Abby. But
Mm.
it wasn't even a role because we already automatically knew what to do.
Right. Because you
And
like grew up already taking care of him. How old were you when you had to become the primary caretaker for your brother?
woo, I was about, I want to say 22.
Still young.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So living my life, still trying to learn who I am.
Yeah.
But I say the sacrifice and having faith,
Mm,
that's what showed me when God was real. And when I say have faith, because not knowing how to care for yourself, but then now you have to play the role of being a sister and being a mom, basically,
yeah.
because I didn't have kids at that time.
Hmm.
And so it showed me how to be humble, how to be grateful, that God is real, because there's a lot of situations that we had to go through. We had a trials and tribulations we had to go through, just in his situation alone, that showed me that God made a way for everything.
Yeah, you talked about faith and sacrifice, which are two very main components in your journey when you're following God. And so, what did you have to sacrifice? What did you have to give up to
I had to give
overcome?
up my job, my livelihood.
Mm,
Um, when my mom was sick, it's like I was working a full time job. I was administrative secretary for a law firm, and when she got sick, I had to balance that out, and that was hard. And then eventually, like I said, she passed from her condition, and I ended up meeting my husband, but boyfriend at the time, through his aunt. I worked with her, and this is just how funny God is.
right.
So I worked with her for like years. Didn't even know who my husband was at all. And
Right.
so she introduced me, and we get to know each other, and then eventually had a child. Now at this point, we're talking
Right.
about
So
move.
where did you meet your husband? Was this during you were while you were working your job, or is this after you left your job to take care of your
No,
brother?
during my job.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So this was
during my job.
your husband before you left your now husband.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
okay.
And this is why I say God is real,
Mm,
because in the process of going through all that dating and getting to know him, we have my child, we get married, and now it's to the point like we're moving. We're trying to find a house, better living for Abby. better living for us. And it's just like, okay, fine. So I'm still working full time, still taking care of Abby full time now. I have my little son, so I'm taking care of him, taking care of myself, my husband, everything else now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all this responsibility.
Yeah.
And then I remember being at work and my coworkers telling me, like, why don't you just put your brother in a home? Like, you know, so you have your family now. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, I always had him. I'm gonna take care of him. I made a promise to my mom. I'm gonna take care of him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of moving, we had to switch everything over from the city to Long Island. And I didn't know, my brother and I didn't know at the time that it's two different setups when it comes to like um cerebral palsy, like UCP, that's the program he was going to. So it was like a whole process, a whole different process out here in Long Island than in the city. So when we moved out here, everything fell apart. Like he didn't have any services. He had Social Security and Medicaid at the time that fell through. Everything was just falling apart, and I was just like, "What's going on?" So I took a family leave just to get everything situated, and my job didn't want to hear it. They like, "You have to go back to work." And I'm like, "Well, I can't leave my brother home alone. He needs support."
Right.
So I eventually got fired from that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you got fired from your job. So you
Hmm.
relocated. You
Yeah.
relocated from where you were, and then when you tried to stay home to take care of your brother, you end up getting fired.
Yeah, try to give him a better environment, better living for all of
Mm.
us, basically. And I end up losing my job. Yeah, in the
So,
process.
what did you do once you lost your job? What happened?
Um, I was very depressed,
Mm.
devastated. I just kept on asking God why. But in the midst of it all, it wasn't the fact of why. It was a purpose of me doing that. And I say that because Abby had a better life, regardless if I had a job or not. Things started happening like back to back to back. And I just felt like even though I'm sacrificing and losing things in my world, as long as he's having a better living, that's all that mattered. Yeah.
I see. I see. And so you're taking. You have a husband. You have a child. You have Abby. So how
Hmm.
did you find the time to take care of yourself? What were some of the things you were doing to take
Well, I
care of
was doing little things here and there. I worked with my cousin with his company and
mm,
online, and I did school,
mm.
doing school. But in the midst of that, when it came to work, just outside work, I didn't have. Yeah. So I
So
just had my husband. Yeah.
yeah, so it sounds like God was making a way to
Hmm.
provide for your family so you can take care of him.
Yep.
And would you say like that was the moment because you basically overcame that? I mean, you
Yes.
left your job, you left the city, and then God is still providing, and it seems like everyone is kind of better off at the
Yeah.
moment. Would you say
Absolutely.
that's correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
Very good. So
Yep.
so how is it now? Where are you at with your relationship with God now? And how long ago was this since this happened? Like how much time has passed?
Well, we took care of Abby for 15 years. He passed away in 2020.
Oh,
And
sorry.
um, my relationship with God is amazing because Abby passed away 2 days after his birthday. His birthday was February 20th, and he passed away February 22nd. And what makes God real to me, my second son told me, Uncle Abby's coming back. You're going to have another baby. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to have another baby. And 2021, ended up having another, well, pregnant. And this year I had my son in February 2022. And he was supposed to be born the day my brother passed away.
Did you name him Abby?
No, I didn't name him Abby. I didn't name him Abby, but I did name him his middle name. Yeah.
Wow. So how old was your son who was prophesying? Because your son is prophesying to you
Oh,
at this
yeah.
point. So how old was your son?
5 years old.
Wow. Out
Yeah.
of the mouth of babe.
Yes. Yep.
And so did you
So
actually believe your son when he was did you think it was just like, "Oh, he's 5," or did you
yeah, no,
actually
I didn't
believe
believe him at all. I'm like, I'm not having no more kids. I'm like, I already got
you
two.
weren't
That's it.
pregnant at the time either, were you?
Hmm.
Were you pregnant at the time when your son was
No.
prophesying?
Mm-mm. He said this a month after my brother passed away. He started
Wow.
saying this. He said, "You're gonna have another baby. Uncle Abby's coming back." I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" Like, it was just weird for him to say it, and he said it for a good 2 months. A good
Wow.
2 months. And I'm like, I'm not having no more kids. I'm not worried about that. Like, now it's my time to do what I need to do for myself. But nope, God had plans.
He did. That's a wonderful, like, full circle story.
Yes.
You know, how you just, like, sacrificed everything to take care of him, and
Yep.
then he came back, and you have a beautiful family, through
Yes.
your family now.
Absolutely.
So how are you guys honoring God as a family? Because
As a
God has
family,
blessed
I
them.
every day I tell my kids, always pray. God will always make a way. We say our prayers at night. Um, you know, my husband, me and him pray together, and
Mhm.
we just
So you've been married for
12 years.
12 years. Okay, so what's give us a good tip, a good marriage advice tip if you have any, after
A
12.
good tip would be communication.
Yeah.
Communication is key, and peace of mind for both sides.
Yeah.
Having a peace of mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would be the one thing you would want people to take away from your story? Anyone who is listening, like what would be something that you would want them to take away from your journey?
I would want anyone that's going through a time where they have to take care of their loved ones, and they don't know what to do. Just make sure you just have the faith that God is going to make a way regardless. It doesn't matter how ugly it gets, how beautiful it looks. God is always going to make a way. There's been a lot of things, part of the story with Abby, the trials and tribulations that we went through with just him alone and his school and stuff like that I just didn't see no way out of it. And
Mhm.
this last moment, God made a way every
Mhm.
time. And I just want to let people know just to continue to have faith, selflessness. It's not all about you. Sometimes, you're here to take care of others, and that might be your purpose. And just to advocate, just be an advocate for your loved ones and for yourself.
Yeah. Do you feel like that was your purpose, or you
I
found
feel like that was part of my purpose. I feel like God has a bigger purpose for me. I just don't know yet. I pray about it, but I
Yeah,
feel like if
definitely.
anything, my purpose is to help people and help.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that it had that impact, I mean, I believe whatever you find, however you find God, that is purpose.
Yeah,
Whether it's through caregiving, taking care of someone, hitting rock bottom, like the fact that you found God through that situation, there was purpose,
yes,
from that situation. And so where are you today? Abby's gone.
yeah.
And so now you're finding a new purpose, finding yourself in your I'm sure the kids are older, everyone's growing up. So where are you now?
But
Um,
right now I'm still a stay-at-home mom,
yeah.
and my ultimate goal is to one day have a foundation to help families that were in the same situation as my brother and I, taking care of Abby. But
Because
that's my ultimate goal.
he had cerebral palsy, right?
Cerebral palsy.
And
Yeah.
what is cerebral palsy for those who may not know?
Well, there's different conditions of that, but in his condition, he wasn't able to talk or walk at all. He depended on us for everything.
Mm,
Just he just had a beautiful spirit, and you wouldn't even looking at him in the physical, you wouldn't even think that he was handicapped because it's just his spirit was everything. Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
That's so good. And there's even purpose, I believe, like in being a mother, and being a wife. There's purpose. Your family is an assignment in itself.
absolutely, absolutely.
Raising your children, raising up the child in the way they should go. So that's definitely part of the purpose of whatever
Yeah,
God.
And it's amazing because I remember one situation. I had a friend, a close friend of mine, um, long time ago, like I said, when my mom was sick. How are you gonna ever have a family? You know, you gotta take care of your brother and this and that. And I remember crying so bad because I was just like, maybe I will never have a family. Maybe I will never get married. I always used to think that. And I remember talking to my mom when she was in the hospital and sick. And she was like, you don't know what God has for you. So don't worry about what your friend said. And I look at it now, like just even talking to you, it's just giving me chills. How going from that to having three boys, never in my life even thinking having kids, because I just thought in my life my purpose was taking care of Abby. To having three boys, a husband, a house, everything. It's just amazing to me. Yeah.
So he gave you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
He gave you the desires of your heart, and what, but you had to sacrifice, and you had to trust and believe that everything was going to be okay, even when it did not look like it, because you're taking care of him. You're not knowing if you're ever going to get married, if you're ever going to have children,
Yep.
and because you were obedient to what God was calling you to do, you left your job, you took care of him. And God
Hmm.
said, I'm taking care of you. I'm going to give her what she desires. And that's,
Yeah.
just a lesson for all of us. When
Yes.
you take care of God's business, whatever he's calling you to do in the moment, um, he's gonna take care of your business. He's gonna give
That's
you
right.
your heart's desires. And that's so
Absolutely.
beautiful, to see that. And now he's gone. He has transitioned Abby, and you have your family. It's here,
Yeah.
protect you, and I'm sure you have a full life with three children and a husband.
Hmm.
So that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. If so, you said for a takeaway from your journey was faith and sacrifice.
Yeah. Faith, and sacrifice, and just being selfless. I just love that word
Yeah.
because
What does that
everybody's,
mean to you?
not everybody, but a lot of people are into themselves. Just take yourself out of the situation and just, like, I always think about that. Like, what if I was that person? I want someone to take care of me like that. So just be selfless, show love, sacrifice, because God is always going to make a way. Always. I don't care what anybody says. He's always going to make a way.
Yeah, you use the word selfless a lot, and I love that word
Hmm.
because self is the opposite of selfish, to be selfless. So,
Yes.
what does selfless mean to you?
It just means that even even if you have to care for yourself, just take a little time, even if it's like a minute,
Yeah,
just take a little time to think about someone else and take yourself out of your own being and try to understand what that person might be going through or how that person might feel.
yeah. And if we all could do that, I'm sure the world would be a
It would
much,
be, yeah, it would be. That would be nice. Better
a much, much better place.
place. Yeah.
Well, Tiffany, thank you so much
Thank
for
you. Thank
sharing
you
your
so
journey, sharing your story. I appreciate you coming on. And family, we will see you in the next episode.
much. Bye.